Welcome back to the Week 9 Overreaction Monday. Guys, it's going to be a great one today. We're going to talk about the Packers for a little bit because obviously they got absolutely embarrassed. But before we get into that, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that sub button, hit that like button, and then go into the comments, guys. Hit us in the comments. Tell us how we're wrong about all of our overreactions this Monday. Tell us how we're wrong. But let's go ahead and get into it, all right? So, Packers versus Lions. I thought this was going to be a shootout. A lot of people were going to be calling it a shootout. Everybody had the Lions, though, other than, Packer fans, let's be honest. Everybody thought the Lions were going to run away with it at the very end, at very least. But then the Packers just went out there and decided to lay a duck on there, lay an egg, and not show up at all. We at the very beginning we had a really good sustaining drive, got all the way to the red zone, and I was like, all right, we settled for a field goal, that's cool, whatever, we move forward. And then immediately the Lions just shove it down our throats. And that's just, after that, whole game derails as far as offensively. We make dumb mistakes here and there. Really, it's just penalties, and all of our internal problems were just grew so much in this game. They were exemplified with how well the Lions were playing, how efficiently they were playing, how perfect and disciplined their offensive defense are. We really couldn't do anything. And then obviously Jordan Love's idiotic pick six where he didn't need to throw the ball and try to force the ball in there. He could just throw it at the running back's feet. Josh Jacobs was right there. He was trying to force the ball to, should have thrown it to his feet, and he gets pick six. And that the whole game derails from there. Defensively, I don't think they played terribly. I think they did enough with what our offense was doing to keep us in the game a little bit. But our offense was just undisciplined, getting pre-snaps penalties, whether that's defensive offsides or false starts, getting behind the chains. It was just really bad the whole game. I'm really disappointed in this Packers team. I'm hoping that this was just a one-off, just, hey, we had a bad week, everything went wrong, and it just happened to be one against the best teams, whatever. But I'm very worried about this undisciplined Packers team and the kind of mistakes that Jordan Love is making. His decision-making is not what we saw from last year. We saw the offense just not clicking, but he was making the right decisions all the time. Now we're seeing him just make poor decision-making, and it's really, really worrying to go forward with the Packers. What are y'all's thoughts?
I mean, I have to agree. I've always viewed Jordan Love as a high-risk roller, right? Well, he was very fortunate last year. It seemed like he hit on every single roll that he did last year. Now, this year, in the past couple of games, we've seen a few interceptions here, especially with this past game, which, honestly, that's the same Jordan Love that we've been seeing. But, honestly, now we're getting to see him learn and see what the high-risk, high-reward really truly means in these certain games, especially in a game against the Detroit Lions, who are arguably probably the best team in the NFL right now. This was just a huge game, but I think this is great for the Packers, right? They get settled down, they learn. It was a bad weather game, but what I really took out of this game was Brian Branch. I think that was huge, right? Early on in the game, Brian Branch, he gets ejected on an unfair call, I would say, because yes, guys are running 100 miles per hour. Brian Branch is already going against Melton, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Melton was the one who got hit, yes.
Correct. And yeah, that's a flag. I get it, helmet to helmet, but being ejected, I think that's a bit excessive. But this whole game, it seemed like the Packers were just getting beat up, not only by the Detroit Lions, but like you said, Reed, but by themselves as well. I think this is going to be a great learning experience to go on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you really quick, AJ, that Brian Branch should have been ejected for that hit, but I don't feel bad for him because he did give the double fingers to the Packers fans, so I don't really care anymore. Vincent, what are your thoughts, man?
I mean, it's just the Lions, man. I've been saying it every single week in my Power Rankings videos. The Lions team is legit. I think they are the number one pick for me to win the championship this year in the just the Super Bowl. If the Kansas City Chiefs don't get there, I think if the Kansas City Chiefs get there, it's going to be really tough for them. I think if they play up against anybody else, I think this team, like you said, Reed, is super disciplined. I mean, MCDC instilled this 2-3 years ago when he first became the coach there, and he's just built it with these new players. adding pieces, knowing the guys that are going to fit well in the system that he's trying to create. And the system is 100% rolling right now. I'll say 99% because there's always that 1% where something goes wrong or a guy goes down and then the system gets changed a little bit. But everybody there is a next man up system. So even if this team gets injuries through the second half of the season, even though they've already had Aiden Hutchinson, one of their best players, out, they are rolling. Defensively, they're rolling. Offensively, they're rolling even more. I mean, Jared Goff, again, almost had another perfect game. He's been doing this all season long. I would love to see his percentage of like passes that he's actually made. I'm assuming he's going to be in the high 70s as of
It's way above that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Looking at his stats right now, he has not missed a lot of passes. But he doesn't go for a lot of yards. It's usually the running game that really kills everybody. And that's exactly what the Lions are built upon. It's just smash mouth football. And that's how it's going to be the rest of the season, in my opinion. As long as those running backs stay healthy, I think the Lions are going to be a very scary team. I don't think they lose more than 2 more games if they play the same.
All right. So I got 2 questions for you guys before we move on. One about the Packers, one about the Lions. All right. So first off, the Packers, how do we see them bouncing back? A lot that they need to clean up here with penalties, them making their own mistakes and self-inflicting wounds. What do we see they need to bounce back? We're going head into a bye week, so we got a time to clean a lot of stuff up. What do they have to do to bounce back?
I think it's just easy fundamentals and slow down the game. Just slow your roll.
Honestly, yeah. I feel like they're using Josh Jacobs just enough to where Jordan Love doesn't have to throw it 50 times a game like we were kind of used to back when they would forget about their running back. I can't remember, Aaron Jones,
yeah.
when you guys would just forget about him. Now I haven't really seen Love need to do that. I think if they allow Love to throw less passes, I think that's how your offense runs best. You guys need to get back to the fundamentals, like AJ said, is just running the ball. That is how teams win. That is how teams tire out of defense. And when you're forced, like the Seahawks, to throw it so many times, you're going to throw interceptions. You're going to make mistakes somehow because the defense is betting on it. And that's what the Lions do. So I think as long as you guys get back to just the fundamentals of running the ball more often than passing it, of course, that like 40-60 split where run is 40, 60% pass is fine. But the closer you are to 50-50, I think that's how you win games. You just derail the game. You derail the plan of the defense trying to make you force some turnovers. And I think that's basically what's killing y'all. You guys have a really bad turnover ratio, even though you guys get a lot of turnovers on defense. So could be better. That's the only thing that I see that could help y'all finish out the season pretty well. Your schedule's not insanely hard, but it's not something to just bend over and expect a playoff berth.
All right. Next question. It's about the Lions. All right. Now, I give them a lot of respect. I do think they're the best team in the NFL right now. But we see time after year where teams are playing their best ball at the wrong time. Right now, they're playing their best ball where they scored 50 points, 40 points, 40 points. They put up how many points did they put up against the Packers? 24, but still a good amount of points. I feel like they're playing their best ball at the wrong time when we're at the beginning, halfway through the season. I'm worried, if I'm a Lions fan, I'm worried that we're peaking at the wrong points and teams maybe figure us out. Maybe we get stale. Maybe we falter. Maybe this is the best we see the Lions, and they're not going to look like this moving forward. What do you guys think?
I agree, but I also disagree here as well. Today, they were missing a few key pieces out there. We saw some injuries with the offensive line. We saw Brian Branch get out of the game. They don't have Aiden Hutchinson. They're also missing Jameson Williams. So I feel like in the future goes on, as the team gets healthier, they'll still be able to bring that surprise package to other teams and keep themselves relevant. That's the only reason why I'm saying I disagree there, but I do see that happening a lot, especially when the postseason comes around.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to totally disagree with you. This team is the best team on, if they were an NBA team, on load management. Using 2 running back heads there in this system is gonna keep them playing great. Their receivers are not having to go out there and run insane routes every single play. Most of the time, they're blocking for these run games. So In my opinion, I don't think there's a lot of injury risk for their receivers or even their tight end in Laporta, who hasn't peaked at all yet. Neither has Amon-Ra St. Brown. Neither has any other player. As AJ said, Jameson Williams is out currently for the next. Well, he should come back next game, but he's been out. So this team really hasn't had all their stars except for the defensive side of the ball, who doesn't stay on the field very long because they get stops. They have the best load management, in my opinion, here in the NFL. I don't think there's going to be very many injuries to this team. I'm going to knock on wood here because I think this team plays well the rest of the season. I don't think they've even peaked yet, to be honest. They're not playing their best football either. They're just playing their system great. And when you're playing your system great, you continue to get better and better as the weeks go along. And that's what they're doing. I don't think they've peaked yet. So that's just my opinion, though.
We'll see. As a Packer fan, I always have to throw that seed of doubt into the Vikings or the seed of doubt into the Lions. I just have to do it, But let's move on from this game. Hopefully both teams do well moving forward. But we're going to talk about a particular player, not a team, which is a first ever for Overreaction Monday, if I'm correct. But we're going to talk about a certain monster named Saquon Barkley. Now, this guy had probably one of the most insane plays I've ever seen a singular player do. So let's go ahead and watch this, guys.
Takes Barkley out of the backfield. Barkley slips 2 tackles and picks up the first.
What's that?
Oh, gosh.
First of all, 6 spin move. Well, it was before this. The 6 spin move right here where he avoids the tackle. And then this, I don't know what was going through his head in order to think, oh, I got to jump right now. Look at how high he gets up.
That's at least like 5 feet in the air.
If someone showed me this picture without seeing this video, I would assume this was photoshopped. Am I right here?
It's like you're playing a video in reverse, like it's unnatural.
It's so unnatural. I don't know what he was going through his head doing this. This should have ended up in one of those like blooper reels of it going terribly wrong. I've never seen anybody doing something like this. But I think Saquon might be the only person in the NFL that can do something like this. Maybe Derrick Henry. I don't know how many hurdles he has in his career. This is crazy. Am I right, guys?
I don't even think it's just this play. If you guys watch this game, Saquon is fully unleashed. I mean, I'm going to say single-handedly just revived this offense this game. I don't know what it was. Maybe the Giants, it felt like that he had ankle weights on. But now with a somewhat decent offense, this guy is breaking the NFL right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. He's playing good. I mean, I cannot knock on him at all. It's 3 straight games with 100 yards rushing on the ground. The only thing that makes me sad about him is that he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns, and today he finally did. So I think this is why we're finally talking about him like this because, again, the stat sheet is insane. But it's been insane. The past 3 games, 100 yards rushing. But I also want to give some benefit here to Kamara, who also had a better game today without the touchdowns. I'm just going to throw that in there. I'm a Kamara lover. But Saquon, I mean, he's in the right system. I'm so glad that he's out of New York. Like, I am so glad for him. It revived his career, and I think he's going to continue to play like this for a few more years. So I'm just glad we get to see him put these stats up.
I'm sorry, Vincent, but did Kamara backwards hurdle somebody this week?
No, but he had more yards than Saquon Barkley.
He didn't backwards hurdle. That's all I hear right now. That's all I hear. All right.
I think he could do it though, to be honest.
I don't know, man. That's wild. All right. Well, we're gonna move on from Saquon and the Eagles, and we're gonna talk about the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, who looked like they were completely dead. Looked like they were never going to be able to revive. And it was just going to be they were thinking about trading away Matthew Stafford, trading away Cooper Kupp, moving on to the future, getting picks. I don't know what the heck they were thinking. Now they're on a 2-win streak. Headed there, it's 3. Okay, my bad. 3-win streak. And Vincent, I'm going to hand the mic off to you as you explain the rest of the schedule. Can this Rams team go on a run here and make the playoffs?
All right, so I'm going to bring up their schedule here. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in a little bit too, just so we can see here the scores and everything. But excluding preseason, of course, they lost 4 out of their first 5 games. But now, like Reed said, they are on a 3-game winning streak here against Las Vegas, Minnesota, who is a tough team to beat at this point in time, and then Seattle at Seattle. So again, I thought this game was going to be a blowout. I thought the Rams were just going to kill us, but our defense came to play. But we're going to talk about the rest of the schedule here because this is what this topic is about, not about what the Seattle Seahawks did. But the Rams are looking pretty good. And this is with Puka Nacua not playing half of the game. He got ejected in this game. And the Rams still put up a fight against, in my opinion, a team that, is not a rollover team, especially at home. But next week they have the Miami Dolphins, who are not able to win these close games like the Rams are. After that, they have New England, who they should pummel, even though it is in Foxborough. Then they have a tough matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then New Orleans, Buffalo, San Francisco, the New York Jets, Arizona, and Seattle again at home. So out of this, I think this is the toughest part of their schedule, in my opinion. On the back end, they've already had their bye week a few weeks back. So again, before these wins, I think this is what really has ignited them, getting everybody healthy and everybody on the same page. But I think in these next 4 games, they should at least win 3 of them. I think they'll beat Miami. I think they'll beat New England, and I think they'll beat New Orleans. Philadelphia is going to be a tough one to win, especially the way they've been rolling as well. We haven't talked about them too much, but Philadelphia is rolling. After that, I think they have to win these 3 games here to even have a shot at the playoffs, because Buffalo, San Francisco, Jets, Arizona, and Seattle, and that 5-game stretch to get into the playoffs is going to be tough. Let me know what you guys think, but that's just my opinion there.
I have to agree. I think every single team from the NFC West control their own destiny, especially towards at the end of the season, right? The last 5 games at the end of the season for each of those teams are extremely tough. But referring to the question that was asked with the Los Angeles Rams, they can very much go on a run, right? We saw them a little crippled here without Puka Nacua. It did play a factor out there, but this game should have been a lot different, right? Just the fact that this game went to overtime, I think that says a lot. The coaching was great, but at the end of the day, you still weren't like, oh my gosh, okay, the Rams are a powerhouse team. They're going to come out. They're going to be beating up on all these teams with their offense. Their defense is still struggling. Their offense, they also dealt with a few injuries there with the old line. So do I think they're invincible? No, I just think they're a team that's starting to get the wheels turning a little bit and getting some of that rust taken off. But they could very much go on a run these next 3 games here.
Definitely agree with that. These next 3-4 games are very, very key for them. If they can get 3 wins and be 7-4 moving into those last 5 games, they have a really good chance. Hey, just win 2, maybe steal 3 games, and you're in the wild card spot. Maybe even winning your division.
Yep.
Depends how the NFC West goes. But definitely key to these next 3 games. I think beating Miami, New England, New Orleans, getting those 3 secured is extremely key, because who knows, all those last 5 teams, they're all going to be fighting for a playoff spot. They're all going to be giving it all, just like the Rams are. Those are going to be tough games to win. I would try to get, after losing so many games early, you got to try to win the next 3 out of 4 to put yourself in a good place for that back end. But definitely the Rams can go on a streak here. Hopefully Puka doesn't throw any more punches and hurt his team. That was stupid. Never close fist punch a helmet. Doesn't make sense, guys. Don't do it.
That's how you break a hand, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you guys have it. The Rams could possibly be a contender, but again, they very well could possibly be not a contender because of the schedule that they have. So.
Just because we're seeing New England here, I do want to give my roses out, okay? Because I know we're not going to talk about him, but Drake May, believe it or not, I'm going to talk about the New England Patriots. One of the best touchdown passes I've seen. Probably it's going to be his best touchdown pass of his NFL career for his rookie year. Okay. But absolutely amazing. I think New England fans should be ecstatic about what they have in that QB room right now.
Definitely
It's
agree with that. I wish
pretty
they
good.
got the win in that
Yeah.
game, but losing overtime.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to move on into the first ever iteration of Overreaction Monday rapid response questions. So we got rapid fire overreactions here. So I'm going to give you guys 3 topics. We're all going to react to them very, very quickly. You can't go longer than 30 seconds. That's like peak time, right, guys? So this is going to be rapid fire, right? So first one, as I come at you, rapid fire. Saints have 7 straight losses. They're 2-7. Vincent, what are your reactions to that?
Kamara, it's Kamara. That's it. That is all I have to say. Derek Carr is duty. He is the most losing quarterback in his first 11 seasons. That is insane. But yeah, it's just Kamara, guys. I hope Olave comes back from that injury healthy as ever. It was pretty scary to see that stuff. It always is. But yeah, it's just Kamara out there.
Rest in peace, Saints. Hopefully Olave is okay. That's horrible. Thomas is out there tweeting some stuff. I don't know if it's real or not. I just saw it. But rest in peace to them. For my fantasy team, give the ball to Kamara, and you should be praying for a playoff spot for a wild card.
Definitely. Man, this team fooled me at the beginning. They win those 2 ginormous games at the beginning of the season. I was like, oh, the Saints are legit. Derek Carr is back. I was so wrong. This team is absolute garbage with or without him. Saints fans, let's move on to the next season. Let's throw in the towel. All right. Now let's move on to our Nets overreaction. Now we got the Commanders 7-2, top of their division, 1 game ahead of the Eagles right now. AJ, what is your reaction to that?
Dude, freaking amazing. I'm so ecstatic about this team. I'm happy for the head coach. I'm happy for the quarterback. I'm happy for all the players. Terry McLaurin. There's rumors going out there that players want to get traded to Washington with a young, dynamic quarterback, with a great head coach in Dan Quinn. I think everything's going right for them. I wish them nothing but the best, but they are the team that we've been talking about all offseason.
Vincent?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I think looking at the rest of their schedule right now, I think this team could only possibly lose 3 games at the rest of the season. They have 8 left to go. Their bye week is super late. This team is pretty scary. I think it would be great to see this team in the playoffs to see what they could do with the young Jaden Daniels. But right now, McLaurin has just had a revival in his career, and I love to see it. Finally, I feel like I could trust this guy in fantasy if I were to have him.
I am scared if the Packers play the Commanders in the first round of the playoffs. I am scared if that happens. Because the Packers probably going to be a wild card. The Commanders most likely going to win their division if things keep going this way. I don't want to be the team that has to go into Washington and try to beat the Commanders with how they're playing right now. That is a scary thing to do. I don't want nothing to do with that. But Commanders, you are legit. I am very surprised. All right, we got our last one, guys. AJ, you are a professional lip reader here. So right now, what is Dak Prescott mouthing in this video?
We eating buffs tonight? I think that's what he's saying.
I
don't know. He's saying we effing suck. Okay, that's
Oh
exactly
my
what they're
God.
saying. Everyone needs to blow this up. This was on national TV. Everyone who has Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, needs to retweet this because this is it. The Cowboys are officially dead. There's no going back. The highest paid quarterback in the league in the sidelines right now is saying that we effing suck after he got injured and after his top wide receiver got injured. It's it. That is it. We're done. Out of here.
Vincent, what you got?
Dude, I don't know with this team. This team is just so up and down every single year. Usually we see this going into the playoffs, but we're seeing it early on because of the bad decisions that this organization has made, not drafting a running back, not drafting another receiver to help CeeDee Lamb, basically. They did it correctly by investing in the defensive side and then the O-line and D-line, but it's like you need stars as well. CeeDee Lamb is not going to be the only guy to carry this entire offense because Dak can't do it. We've seen it. Dak cannot be the guy that has the ball in his hand when the time needs to make a big play or something like that. So CeeDee Lamb's going to get doubled when it's in need of a crunch time play. Dak Prescott is not going to make the right decision to get it to anybody else. So that's what this team is. They need a running back. They need another wide receiver to assist. But as of now, like I just said, the season is over for them. I don't think they make the playoffs at all.
So I want to get one thing straight first. Dak didn't lie. I see no lies detected, He is telling the truth. Now, as the starting quarterback for one of the most watched teams where there's constantly a camera on you, 100% of it. So when you walk out onto that field, there's a camera on you. You cannot say that on the field. Now, when you're you're hanging out with your family, you're in the locker room with your teammates, maybe say that. Still, I don't think as a starting quarterback you should say that of an NFL team. But you cannot say that on the sideline of a team, a game that you're getting blown out of currently, and your backup quarterback is playing for you because you're currently hurt. You cannot do that. That's unexcusable, terrible. I'm very worried. Obviously, Jerry Jones shouldn't be the GM handling things anymore over there. Mike McCarthy probably should get fired with how he's handling this team currently. But Dak, you just signed this guy to a huge contract, and he's saying that type of stuff on the sideline, knowing he's got his back secured. I'm feeling very upset if I'm a Cowboys fan about the current status of this organization. Very upset. And I know they're very upset because it's going off on Twitter right now.
You should have signed him. You should have signed him this. I mean,
Nope.
You had this whole season, right? There was no conflicts. He wasn't holding out. You should have signed him.
Made 0 sense.
Look.
You have Michael Parsons and Diggs on a podcast saying that their quarterback, the top paid quarterback that played for their team, is not the top guy, right? You have CeeDee Lamb frustrated, throwing his helmet, getting hurt, putting his body on the line, and you're saying that on the sideline immediately after he got hurt. You have Mike McCarthy throwing his iPad down on the floor out of frustration. This is his last year. He should get fired right now. I mean, that's it. There's no coming back from this. There's not.
But I also want to show this. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. This was not planned, but I just looked at this and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in just a tad bit here, see if I can get it a little bit closer for y'all. But this is this past game, right? 18 for 24, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. No interceptions, which is pretty good. But then we see Cooper Rush, who came in as he needed to because of the hamstring injury to Dak Prescott. But as we can see here, 13 for 25, 115 yards, a touchdown. Does that seem pretty dang similar to you guys? I mean, of course, they were behind against Atlanta, so maybe the defense wasn't playing as tough. But this stat line is very similar. So in my opinion, again, yes, you guys freaking suck. But that is probably because of the way you're playing as well, Dak. You cannot put the blame on everybody else. He says we freaking suck. So, again, he's not saying that this team sucks. He's saying that he also sucks. But I just wanted to show that up there for everybody.
8 out of 10 quarterbacks put all the blame on themselves. He's not doing that. He needs to look at himself in the mirror. He's the highest paid guy in the NFL right now. He needs to look himself in the mirror. And just because his best friend got suspended and is not at the game, doesn't mean you got to be in a pissy mood like that. Like, come on, dude. Rico Dotto, he did not play a bad game.
Ooh, he played great, honestly.
He played great because there's no excuses. He's playing for his career.
All right. Well, that is it for our Overreaction Monday. That was a kind of long rapid fire response, but I'm glad we stayed there because the Cowboys are just that disappointing, unfortunately. But that's all we got for this Overreaction Monday, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Maybe remember, hit that like button, hit that sub button, go to the comments and tell us how wrong we are or how right we are. Because I know we're right. Tell us if we're wrong. We'll handle it in the comment section. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Until next time, keep on grinding.